Yes.
Ready? Okay. Good evening. I'd like to call this meeting to order. I'd like to welcome everyone here. In accordance with the South Carolina Freedom of Information Act, Section 3480-E, South Carolina Code 1987 is amended. All the meeting area will identify the date, time, location, and agenda of the meeting. This time we have our prayer by Mr. Govan.
Let's bow our heads. Father, it is again that we ask your mercy and your guidance as we conduct the business of this district. We ask God that you will also help us to be reminded of this season of the year and its purpose in this meeting. That you will be sure, God, to help each and every one of us to help our families and the families of our children here in this district to ensure that they remember the reason for the season. We ask God these blessings in your name. Amen.
Now say the pledge. Ms. Haskell.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I would now ask for approval of the agenda. Second over there, okay. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion to approve the agenda? Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Citizens' comments, do we have anyone signed up?
Yes, sir, we have one.
One person?
Yes, sir.
All right, I'll read the procedures for this. The first 30 minutes of the monthly meeting will be set aside for 3-minute input sessions for citizen participation. Participation will be approved on a first-come, first-talk basis as recorded on a log which is provided. Public input should be in the form of suggestions, information, or comments pertaining to programs, schools, or school district. Based on legal advice to our council, comments should not be made either complimentary or critical, naming any student, school employee, administrator, or board member, as these matters are personnel matters that require an executive session. Speakers' comments will be received only as board information. Okay, Mayor Duke.
Good evening, Dr. Newman, school board members, and citizens of Darlington County. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
My name is Dwayne Duke. For the record, I am the mayor of Society Hill. I'm here this afternoon to speak about Rosenwald and St. John Elementary School being combined. Since the meeting in March, there has been a feeling of unrest as the possibility of losing our school lingers over Society Hill. Being newly elected, I have made it one of my key focus points to build and increase the general population of Society Hill, and in doing so, increase the attendance at Rosenwald. For example, we're working with Habitat Humanity on a home being built for a mom on Church Street, and we're planning to do more Habitat for Humanity houses, as well as assisting several other empty homeowners in improving their structures so that they may be either sold or rented, but in either case occupied. I don't know if any of you have checked on real estate in Society Hill lately, but it's very seldom that you see a house come on the market, and when it does, it isn't there long. We plan to see more houses on the market in Society Hill. The empty ones, we plan to see people be put into those houses. Population is on the rise, and with it comes the children. At the last public hearing regarding this merger, there were many leaders and Rosenwald alumni that spoke about the great start that Rosenwald gave them. Please don't let the benefits of a smaller school be lost. Just this holiday season, Rosenwald students were more involved than they have ever been in years. They had a float in the Christmas parade, and this past Saturday, the new Rosenwald Elementary Ensemble performed Christmas carols at Town Hall during our Christmas tree lighting event, which was awesome. We as a community are building the gaps caused by the lack of general town activities over the years, COVID, and everything in between. We have a new library manager, that's going to work very close with the students in programs and events, as well as a restored relationship with the management of the community center, which just this past Saturday, Saturday last week, we had Rudolph the movie, which hosted 25 children plus their parents. We have plans, and we have the people who care enough to help those plans succeed. Please allow us to keep the school that we know and love, so that we can include the treasures of what Rosemall has meant to so many in what is being offered to the future of our children. Thank you, and God bless.
Thank you. Okay, moving on, consent items. Go. All right, before we move on to consent items, got one thing. Richard, if you stand up, please, sir. Mr. Brewer's, it's his last meeting with us, so we want to give him this token of our appreciation for what he's meant to this board. He's been a great board member. We appreciate you. And who knows, maybe come back again. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Okay. Moving on to consent items, adult education admissions.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we accept the recommendation.
Second.
Second. Discussion, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Have it. Minutes, November 14, 2022, regular meeting, and minutes, November 29, 2002, special call meeting. We can do them together or separate.
Mr. Chairman, if there's not an objection, I would make a motion that we accept both minutes.
I'll second. Second. Okay, any discussion on the minutes? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. The next regular Darlington County Board of Education meeting is scheduled for January 9th, 2023 at 7 p.m. at the board training room here in Darlington. Okay, 2022-23 goals update. Dr. Newman.
Chairman Jeffords, members of the board, and members of our audience, just again going through the annual goals that we have and updating on a monthly basis. Of course, safety and security is our first, and we have had a chance to finish the additional walkthroughs for more card access locations throughout the district. Unfortunately, we are also running into some supply chain issues, so it's going to take a little while to get the product in. So again, everything, walkthroughs went well, we've identified everything, but much like a lot that is going on with different types of systems that are involved with school construction and technology systems, there is a lag time, unfortunately. So it's going to be a little bit longer than what we hoped, so we didn't want people to think that we did the walkthroughs, identified it. Our principals have been great as far as helping us identify those additional places, but it's going to be a little bit of time before we get the devices in. Mental health supports, we have finished our interview process for the coordinator position, the mental health coordinator. That'll be the first for the school district, and that recommendation is coming to the board. So we should have that taken care of and be able to start soon in January, putting our programs together. Again, very encouraged going through the interview process and learning about a lot of the different types of programs that we can generate within our own district just by having these professionals in place. So look forward to that. Our third goal, of course, is parental involvement. We've had a lot of parental involvement over the past few weeks with our schools. Our principals have done a great job of getting folks into their buildings. There's been several Christmas programs that have been out there. I know Thornwell was over at Coker in the auditorium last week for their Christmas program. I also know that North Artsville had a Christmas program themselves. Lamar Spalding, you all had, I'm understanding, 150 parents that were involved in ornaments and designing ornaments with their kids. So having those parents in the building. And then Southside, another example, they had a parent breakfast workshop where they had a lot of their parents come in that they were able to talk a little bit about socio-emotional health for their students and everything. Again, every one of the principals have had items that are going on this during the season, but I wanted to highlight a few of them just where we've got parents coming in the buildings, which is what our goal is to try to get more involvement. And then, of course, our fourth, which is always important, is the academic achievement. We are in the midst of MAP testing. The MAP window closes on Friday, if I'm not mistaken. And so our schools have been working with their students, but also they've had a lot of, initiatives at the school to prepare the students for MAP testing. Our Orange Frog Challenge this month was to crush the tests, and so I've seen a lot of neat Orange Crush propaganda out there, and kids that know what their goals are, that they've had their established goals that their teachers have given them, that they are hoping to obtain, and again, there's buy-in with the students on that. And so we look forward to getting the MAP testing data back. And of course, MAP testing is based off RIT scores, but also we're working on the new accountability system and doing training with our teachers as well. So they'll know from the MAP piece on what that new growth will look like and what we're trying to obtain for our students at the end of this year as well. And of course, end of course testing, it's the end of this first semester. Glad to be finished with testing before Christmas break. This is the first in a long, long time. So look forward to seeing how our students perform, having prep time for their test instead of being away for a couple weeks and having to come back to school and get ready to take tests. So I know our high schools and some of our middle schools are working with their students on that as well. So that is the goals update for the month of December.
Okay, any questions, anyone?
When will we get a report on the MAP testing?
Should be within the first couple weeks of January. We should have that information back.
So our January work session?
It's possible, yeah. Yeah, it's possible, yeah. We'll take a look and see.
But we will have end of course results back, certainly.
We should have that as well, yeah. As soon as we have it, as soon as we have that data available, we absolutely will have it for discussion at the next available meeting. So, yeah, hopefully that will be the work session. I wouldn't think that was possible. So.
Okay, any other questions? Anyone? Okay, we'll move on. General operations, financial audit 2021-22. This Renee.
I'm gonna do a little finagling here real quick, so bear with me. Get our auditors on the screen here. So we have Connie Gamble and Chuck Talbot with us from Webster Rogers. They are on the screen with us. Can you all hear us?
We can.
Excellent. And we can hear you as well. I'm going to make sure we can get everybody in the picture here.
Okay.
There we go. So you have the full board, and the floor is yours.
Well, thank you, Dr. Newman. Again, I'm Chuck Talbert. I'm partner with Webster Rogers, and also with me is Connie Gamble, manager, who supervised the audit and of the school district for the year ended June 30th of 22. I trust that each of you have had an opportunity to look at the document. It's quite a long document. We've reviewed this with management in detail. If you will look at the table of contents, you can see what's included in the document. What I would like to focus on is our report, which starts on page 1 immediately after the table of contents. This is what you've engaged us to do, is to provide you this letter of opinion. And in that second paragraph of the document, we're telling you that in our professional opinion, that this financial package presents fairly in all material respects the financial position and the activities and cash flows of the district as of and for the year ended June 30th of 22. And that's in accordance with GAAP, or generally accepted accounting principles. And I would say that is a clean opinion. That's what you're looking for. Everyone does not receive a clean opinion, so that's something that is very significant. You've got a clean opinion on your financial package. In that next paragraph, basis for the opinion, we have adhered to professional audit standards in the conduct of our work. We're required to be independent. We certainly work with management. We have to, in terms of gathering data and information in order to opine on your financial package. But during that, I mean, we maintain a sense of professional skepticism is the term that we frequently use as we go through this. Our responsibility is to report to you, the governing body, the Board of Trustees of the school district. Responsibilities of management. We do assist in drafting this document, and but this is very much management's financial statements. And to that end, I will tell you that management has provided us a formal letter of representation that, yes, this is ours, management's financial statements. We have responded to all of your inquiries. We're not aware of any liabilities, potential liabilities, or disclosures that might need to be included in this financial package. So I always think it's important for you, the governing body, to know that management has taken responsibility for this document and formally done that in a letter of representation to us, your outside auditors. Again, we conduct our work, and if you'll turn to page 2, I think this is a good summary of kind of what an audit is. I mean, I've already mentioned that we exercise professional judgment and we maintain this sense of skepticism. I mean, it's that old saying, show me. I mean, we're not out to get you, but we are there to attest independently, objectively, professionally, that we agree with this financial statement package. And we've looked at the internal controls as we've decided what procedures that we've got to perform. Now, we're not looking at those internal controls to opine on the controls. We look at those controls to decide what tests that we need to perform in order to provide you this opinion. You know, we think about the numbers, but we are also interested in the disclosures, and we look at your accounting policies that are in the first footnote of your financial package. We look at those policies. We look at them for consistency from one year to the next. Have they been applied effectively? We also look at estimates. There's always estimates in any set of financial statements. And we look at the underlying assumptions and how they've been applied and how they've been presented in your financial statements. You know, some of the most significant estimates in the statements include is there an allowance for doubtful accounts? You've got receivables on your balance sheet. What is the proposition that those are real, that you're going to actually receive those receivables? And there's typically an allowance for accounts that will not come through and will not be actually received. We also look at the useful lives of your plant and equipment. How is it depreciated? How long is it depreciated over? And we also look at your net pension liability as well as your other post-employment benefit liabilities. Those are probably the most significant estimates, and we spend a lot of time looking at those underlying estimates, the assumptions embedded in those estimates and how they're applied, and we concur with their application in these statements. And then finally, we also are looking at although you're in strong position, we also look at the district's ability to continue as a going concern. I mean, in GAAP, generally accepted accounting principles, that's a concept that when you present financial statements, the understanding is that this is a going concern. They're not going out of business. And yes, we've looked at that and analyzed that. There's a significant amount of information, supplemental information, both required supplemental information as well as other supplemental information that follows the basic financial statements. But I would suggest that you spend some time looking at management's discussion and analysis, and that's on pages 4 through 11 of your package. And one of the things I think that distinguishes that management's discussion and analysis is it is comparing, unlike the basic statements that are just for the year, as of and for the year ended June 30th of 22, that management's discussion also goes back and analyzes how the district fared in 22 versus how the district fared in 21. So it's a comparative analysis and gives you some good information there. I know that boards are always interested in how did we end the year. If you'll turn to page 16 of your document, your main fund, your general fund, you ended the year with $101 million of revenue, and after expenses, if you go down that first column, you actually added to your fund balance, your general fund balance of $5,368,000. So you ended the year with $40,453,000 of fund balance in that general fund. Now, left to right, all the way over to the right, all of the funds, again, $101,000 for the general fund, that's your main operating fund. You had $165 million of total fund revenue. And if you go to the bottom right corner, you can see that you added to your total fund balance across all funds by $11,437,000, and you ended the year with $102,560,000 fund balance across all the funds. So I think you had a very strong year for 22. As I said, we've met with your management team. I think you've had an opportunity to look at this. I don't want to spend a lot of time. I know you've got a long meeting in front of you, but I'd love to entertain any questions you might have that either I can answer or that Connie can answer about the audit package or the audit process.
Questions, anyone? Anything you see that we should change from what we're doing?
We've had some discussions with management just about about year-end closing, and one of the things that we discussed is that a few months from now, let the dust settle, so to speak, and get into your springtime. We're going to have a planning conference for the June 30th of 23 engagement. We're going to lay out that engagement on the calendar, and we're going to have specific check-in dates, milestones that will follow in that process for the 23 audit. And we hope to have that audit to you a good bit sooner than we are meeting this year in December.
Okay, that'd be good. Anyone else? So it sounds like we have a good audit, and we appreciate Winston Rogers, Ms. Renee and her staff. We appreciate what y'all do. For sure.
Well, and I do want to acknowledge, Dr. Newman and Renee and her staff. We certainly appreciate everything they've done to assist in our process. They answered all of our inquiries and were very helpful in the process. So we appreciate that very much.
Okay.
Chuck, Connie, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're going to leave you. Thank you very much. Y'all have a Merry Christmas.
You too.
Go ahead.
Okay.
We go with you. Okay, we'll move on to budget reports. Anything, Ms. Renee? Any questions? No? Budget? Okay, policy items. League Bank, this be for first reading. Questions on that?
Yep. And again, Chairman Jeffers, that was the information for the leave bank, the new leave bank that we are trying to implement for the school district. A few meetings back, one of the questions that the board had asked is if we could survey. We knew that this was one of the biggest reasons why we've been trying to put this together is because teachers have actually requested this. This is one of their top requests as far as what are some things that the district could do, thank you, Mr. Miller, to make teachers feel more appreciated. And sick leave bank was one of those. And at one of the recent board meetings, the board directed me to get input from some of our support staff as well. So we knew we had information from our teachers, and overwhelmingly this was something that they would desire to see in the district. But we also wanted to get feedback from our support staff. And what you have in front of you is again, we sent this to all of our schools, all of our support staff. We had 161 responses to the survey. You can see the percentages. Overwhelmingly, they were in favor of it, and some of the different comments that they were able to make about that as well. So, we come to the board with it's an addendum to the current leave policy that we have. And so the policy is not changing as much as this is another piece of the policy that we have in place. And we are hoping that we can, with the board's approval, we're hoping that we can start to move forward on this in January, so we can offer this for our employees.
Okay. Entertain a motion for first reading on this. Have a question? Sorry.
Yeah, given the fact that we're gonna have 2 new board members coming on in January, and I don't have a problem making a motion for a first reading, but I don't know that you would want to necessarily implement it in January, because I think that the new board members ought to have an opportunity to have some conversation, at least before we implement it.
Yeah, so they will, because second reading would be in January. And so
Right.
they'll have a chance to actually get this information as well for the second reading. And so we won't implement until there's the second reading that's been done. And again, we would certainly want to bring anybody up to speed in January.
Well, it would go in effect next school year, right? Or no? Or
No, we're
it
talking about
would start
starting it in the springtime, starting the process.
Of signing off and.
It's not something that's controversial that I can see. I think everyone, like, over 85% of the people voted for it, so, I don't see that being a problem at all.
I make a motion that we accept it for first reading. I'll second.
Any discussion, further discussion? One,
As with all new policies that we bring in, I mean, when we did this, could we kind of earmark this for a yearly report to say, so that we kind of have an idea of how many days were used, how many employees is served, just as an update?
Absolutely.
There were some parameters, I think, pretty strict parameters, which
There are.
There are.
And one of those requirements of the committee is to actually give an annual update on that.
That's all.
That's a
Just
great question.
Just as long as we get an annual report.
Yep, absolutely.
okay, all in favor of that motion, first reading? Opposed? Ayes have it. Okay, property transfer acknowledgement letter. This is when we actually discussed last meeting, we put it on the table, it to come back.
Yep, Chairman Jeffers, members of the board, when we had the discussion, I didn't sense there was any hesitancy with the board, other than it was just an odd request. We've not really seen much come across like this type of request. And so the board had asked me to check with our attorneys to make sure that there was no issues, liability types of issues for us, or any concerns from the attorneys. And of course, the attorneys responded back that this doesn't happen often, but there was certainly no negative impact to the school district based on their view of this. And also, the county recently passed, had a motion passed to have a similar letter. So the requirement, and if it's from the South Carolina Permanent Improvement Projects Guide, published by the South Carolina Capital Budget Office, which is a very long manual, and this is like one paragraph in that manual where it talks about the need to get letters of support from the school district and the county when an exchange of property is done this way. And so, again, by all accounts, there are no legal implications that we would have. Attorneys didn't seem to think that there was any issue. I will tell you that since our discussion, and I know I provided a draft letter with the property, there's actually one more 0.24 acre, another quarter acre piece of property that is also will be added to this list. So there were on the board motion, there were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces of property, all of them, approximately a quarter acre of property. There's one additional quarter acre property that I was advised of that would be part of this. Again, the total amount of acreage is approximately 5.5, 6 acres.
So county council's already voted and done
Their last meeting, they did.
the last meeting.
And I would like to welcome John Shannon from the Governor's School that's with us as well. Thank you, John, for coming to be a part of our meeting tonight. And I know he wanted to be here if we had any questions as well.
Okay. I'd entertain a motion for this, then we can have other discussion if we need it.
So moved.
Motion second. Further discussion?
We need to add an amendment for the other quarter piece.
Yes,
So
exactly.
the motion with the
Motion
amendment.
with the
With the amendment to add in the other.
Thank you.
Peace, please.
Anyone else? Okay, all in favor of the motion with the additional acreage? Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you.
Again, John, thank you for being here.
Okay, moving on. Proposed new elementary school. The administration recommends approval of the merger of St. John's Elementary School and Rosenwall Elementary School to be housed in a newly constructed facility to be located at 2208 North Governor Williams Highway. So what I would to have is entertain a motion in a second, and then we can have discussion if we need to.
So moved.
Motion?
Second.
Second, Wanda, okay. All right, I'm just gonna say a couple words real quick, before we have a vote. And we've heard opinions on this for the last several months through, public meetings, through conversations, one-on-one, quite a few conversations about this. We value everyone's opinion, and I promise you we take everything very seriously. You say, well, why vote now? Well, this board has listened to all the concerns, and it should be up to this board to make the decision. I mean, we've been to the public meetings, we've listened to everyone, and this should be our decision, it's up to us to make this decision. And this is really about what's most beneficial to our children. Education and safety, what we should be concerned with most. That's how we make this decision. It's not an easy decision. It never is. When you talk about merging schools, possibly closing a school, it's not. It's very difficult. If we pass this motion tonight, our priority is to make sure that both of these buildings, or all buildings concerned, are repurposed. We don't want to have an empty building here at Society Hill or Darlington. That's the last thing we are looking to do. We want to make sure they are repurposed. So, a yes vote for this, to me, is a vote for our children. Like I said, it's not easy, but it's something we need to do. Anyone else have anything you want to say?
I just want to say a couple things too, Warren. I echo a lot of the same sentiments that you've already said, but what I'd also like to add is just that, this first came up in 2019, right? Dr. Newman brought this to us, and then, of course, COVID hit, and that was our priority, and it didn't come back up. But I can say that we have spent the better part of this calendar year researching, asking questions, challenging Dr. Newman, challenging him for other options. We have listened to the community. We've each individually talked to people in the community, and it's not an easy decision to make. And I don't know how my fellow board members are going to vote tonight, but what I do know and what I feel confident in is that we've done our due diligence. And I can also say after 4 years, with most everybody around this table, that this board has always put kids first. And some decisions are harder to make than others, but you can always go back to the question, and if you can ask, the first question should be, how does it impact the kids? And like the safety of the kids and the betterment of the kids, that always comes first. There's a lot of other things involved in making decisions that impact the decision and sometimes make it hard to make a decision, but the first question has always got to be about the kids. And we've done our due diligence, I do feel like.
And also I had to, I don't know if you guys were on here when we went through the West Hartsville, Washington Street merger up in Hartsville. Went through the same thing. It was brutal. You had inputs, you had a lot of sincere concerns in the community. I can probably say, and I don't know, I've heard hardly any complaints since we put them together on Bay Road, from parents, from community, the areas that we left. And again, repurposed one, the others still not, but we've got plans and things where it is. But nevertheless, again, everyone voiced their opinion, it was heard. I think it was the right decision without question for that situation. And I think, again, likewise, I feel the same. It's all about the kids first and foremost. You don't want to hurt the community, so we need to, again, look for repurposing that facility. Either both facilities should, it's a yes vote, if it's a yes vote. But again, Hartsville, I was pleased with how that turned out, and I think the community is very pleased with how that turned out as well.
Mr. Govan?
I will agree that it is in the best interest of our children to provide the best educational opportunities. If this board is going to truly be committed to repurposing that building, or those buildings, so that they remain a part of that community, whether it's Hartsville, whether it's Darlington, whether it's Hartsville, whether it's society, it doesn't matter. One of the things that I have constantly gotten called about is the fact that we say that, but then we don't do that. And to be truly honest with you, in African American communities across this state, historically, black schools that have been closed, or predominantly black schools that have been closed, have basically just been forgotten about. And there's a real concern about that in this community, and in this county. I think we have and no, we are not in the real estate business, I understand that. But I think we truly have to have a commitment to be sure that our citizens are equally as considered as our children are. Because after all, they are the taxpayers. And we are spending off the backs of their money.
Okay. Anyone else?
Like everyone said, this is a very hard decision that's going to be made here in a few minutes. Again, this process that started before I came home, then with COVID and everything that took place, I would just like to say that with the decision that's made tonight, whether it's a yes vote or a no vote, no matter what, these buildings do not go unused. Whether it be, if it's a yes vote, give the St. John's or the Rosenwald alumni options of purchasing the buildings to repurpose them, along with probably a few other entrepreneurs. That way these buildings don't go to waste. And then, of course, that'll be additional revenue that could be coming in for tax. We've got a ton of options available, but first and foremost, we've got to place our kids first. We've got these new buildings that we've just built. We can look back at the statistics on those, how well they're performing versus prior mergers that's taking place. So, like I said, keep our kids in mind when we vote.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay, hearing none, I will ask for the vote. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
Opposed?
Opposed.
Charles votes, okay. 5-2, okay. Motion passes. Okay, superintendent's update.
Chairman Jeffers, members of the board, members of our audience, I just have a couple things I wanted to make. To meet with the Byerly Foundation this past week, Shannon Flowers, our business engagement coordinator, and I were able to sit down with some of the Byerly board as well as some of the other community members and talk about workforce development and talk about some of the initiatives that we have going on in the school district. And we actually had a chance to bring one of our interns along with us, a young lady from Hartsville High School who is interning at an automotive facility, but she did a great job of presenting herself to everybody at that meeting. But again, a great example of what the internship programs are doing, but also just to talk about some of the challenges that we have. You know, for instance, transportation. Some of our most neediest students that need internships and need that exposure also, you know, don't have transportation. So we had a good chance to talk about some good conversations about how we can affect our communities with our students that are participating. So I was glad to be able to share, but more importantly, just to dialogue and get feedback as well. And then the last thing that I have is that the adults aren't quite as aware of this in the room, but I know the students are that aren't in the room, and that is our holiday break starts with a half day on Friday. Probably the adults are kind of aware of it too, so we do end the semester on Friday with a half day, and I just want to wish everybody a safe, happy, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays.
Teachers got early also?
And time with family and everything. So those that half day for kids usually means a little bit early time for teachers as well. So based on when the dismissal time is, so they're usually sitting by waiting for that email to hit in the school. So we'll make sure to get that out. But no, again, I just want to wish everybody a safe, restful, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, get rest, but most importantly, enjoy family. And again, keep in mind those in our communities and our schools that don't have, in ways that we may be able to help our students and families as well during the holiday season. That's everything I have for the superintendent's update.
Gee, must be Christmas time. Any questions, Superintendent, anyone? Okay, board member input. Ms. Kelly.
I don't have anything additional.
Luke?
Just wish everyone to have a happy and safe Merry Christmas. You know, when everyone takes a break on this leave, you know, I want to see every student and every employee back, you know, once we come back into session.
Okay. James? Charles?
The only thing is, two things. One is I would want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and have a safe, blessed holiday. The other is to the board, my fellow board members, in the new role that I'm going to assume, or have assumed, I would ask you to really look at coming to the annual conference and looking at your emails and correspondence in reference to the new national association that we have become, that South Carolina has become a part of, so that we can look for some support and some guidance from the federal level as relates to education, public education in this country.
Is that what they were discussing back in Charleston?
Yes.
Okay.
Richard?
First, I'd just like to thank all the kids and staff and teachers at all the schools for the honor of being able to serve you these last 4 years. It has been a great honor for me to be there for you whenever you came to me and everything, and I am going to miss you. I'd also like to thank every board member on this board for being patient with me and putting up with me during the time of my tenure here. I know things weren't always easy, and I can tend to be a pain in the side at times, according to my wife. But it has been a great experience for me, and y'all never questioned any question that I had for you or whatever. You were eager to answer and to mentor me and guide me, and I appreciate all that. I want everyone to know that this one is the best school board in South Carolina. A lot of people may not think that, but look at the years of experience and the different workforce abilities that are on this board, and they are true to their cause. They're true to the kids of this district and the staff of this district. And of the other school boards that I've had encounters with, they couldn't touch this board. This is the best board that you could ever ask for. And finally, my advice to the new ones that are coming on, the new board members, would be that for the very first year, just sit back and listen. Give your opinion wherever you feel like you need to give it, but you've got so much to learn, the policies and the acronyms and just the flow of how things flow in here. Don't approach this board with that, okay, I'm going to get this changed day one. Government and state government do not move that quickly, and I hope you learned that very soon. I was in the United States Navy and thought I had the government figured out and getting things done, and I hit this board and I was wrong. There are things that you would not believe that you're going to be entertained with, that you're going to wonder, why in the heck did we do that? But it's all before policies that are given to us by the state and the government. But I just want to thank this board and all of y'all for the wonderful experience, and I hope you all have a great Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year and a safe one.
Wow.
I'm gonna miss my seatmate. Anyway,
Yeah, I want to go back to I want to retract my no comment and say, Richard, it has been, we came in at the same time, neither one of us knowing what was going on. And so, yeah, it's been a pleasure.
I'm coming up at the end of my third year, and I still don't know what's going on.
Lord. Richard, we do appreciate you, and we are going to miss you, and we wish you the best. Don't forget about us.
I've already been
You can come back
approached by
anytime you want to.
numerous principals in different schools who are asking me certain things, and I told them, so well, I want to make sure I don't step on any toes, but I'll be there for you if you need me.
Remember, we had a 3-minute input session.
Hell yeah. Wanda starts getting the DT shakes and missing me, I'll come in and give her a talk to her, show her baby picture.
show me your baby pictures.
Lord. I want to say congratulations to Charles. He's just been elected as secretary of the state board, so that's a great honor for him. Appreciate you, Charles. Thank you all principals being here tonight. See quite a few out there. Hope all y'all have a Merry Christmas. And like Dr. Newman said, take a little time off and recharge. I'm sure all of you need it. And, y'all work, I say, almost 24 hours a day when you get down to it. So it's always a phone call away. So thank all of you. Chuck, I'm not even gonna bother you tonight.
Oh, you need to.
I need to. Okay. How about Vegas?
15. So
Great.
that's 10 high, 5 middle, and we're fully staffed at elementary level. So I think Dr. Hunter's around here somewhere. She's been doing some fine recruiting.
Well, that is great. That is okay. Great news. Good job. Appreciate it. Do want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas. Enjoy your time off, and we'll hit the boardroom running in January, and have a lot to do, and got a lot of good people to do it with. So we appreciate all of it. All right, we move on to personnel actions.
Mr. Chairman, I move to reaccept the recommendation of personnel along with an addendum if there is one.
I'll second.
Okay, motion second. Any discussion on personnel actions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Executive session.
I move that we move into executive session to discuss contractual matters.
Okay, we have a second.
Second.
Second on that. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Ayes have it. We're now going to executive session to discuss personnel matters, resignation, termination, hires, and/or transfers, and contractual matters. Ready? Okay, Luke made a motion to come out of executive session, seconded by Leanne. So entertain any motions to be made at this time.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we approve the superintendent's recommendation for the new mental health coordinator.
I'll second.
Second, discussion. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion? Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
You gotta make it, okay. Motion second, all in favor? Aye.
And I didn't, ask this during financial part, I should have, but for next time, little update discussion on our ESSER disbursements. I know there's one area in the three that still considerable funds. And again, we've always said, or I've always said, I just hate to enforce, so I guess any update from state and feds about, timeframes of using it, any flexibility on that anymore, any conversations between now and then, maybe you talk to some other folks and folks at state level, have they had any success in getting them to, move that out some?
And so that's, Ellen Weaver had asked superintendents for input and, what are some suggestions we have, and that was one of the main suggestions I have, is give us flexibility on the ESSER.
Just say, let's put it, not saying we can't, but you can't make that work overnight. Not that much money, don't have staff, the whole thing is kids, people, personnel to make it happen. Anyway.
6:30,
Don't forget, Wyman's house.
I saw, Leanne, where you jumped on salad.